Hello and welcome to Retirement Made Easy. Today I wanted to talk about a question that we get literally all the time. It's very, very simple, but the question is, what do I do with my 401k after I retire? What are my options? What's going to be best for me? So let's first talk about the three options that you have, really three choices on what to do with your 401k. The first choice is you can decide to cash the 401k out. Now, if you're going to do this, there might be penalties. There will likely be a 20% mandatory federal income tax withholding. That's fairly standard with a 401ks. You'll want to check with your 401k provider to see if that would apply to you and to see if there would be any penalties. But that is option number one. And studies actually show that it's actually quite a common occurrence that somebody will cash out their 401k upon separating service or retiring. So that's certainly an option. If you have a big balance in your 401k, that might be a big tax liability to cash it out all at one time. So that might not be the best option for you. But certainly good to know our options. That's the easiest, is you could cash it out. You could choose to cash out your 401k. Now, option number two is you can leave your 401k where it is. And typically there's going to be a minimum balance requirement to do so, but you can quite simply do nothing. You don't need to inform the 401k provider that you have retired or anything like that. You can leave the 401k where it is. There's reasons why you might want to consider doing this. Number one, it's there's no action required. You don't need to log on to your 401k portal. You don't need to contact anybody. It is kind of status quo. You might be very comfortable with your 401k and how it's invested, and you might choose to just do nothing and leave it with the 401k provider. And then the third option is you have the ability to roll it over to a rollover IRA. And in doing so, you are not taxed. This is a tax-free, it's a tax-deferred transfer, being that you're going from a tax-deferred pre-tax 401k and rolling it over to a traditional IRA, also known as a rollover IRA. And when you do so, it can be done either a direct rollover or an indirect rollover. Quite often, most people do a direct rollover where it's going straight from the 401k provider to your new IRA custodian. That's an option. And if there were any Roth dollars in the Roth 401k, they could be rolled to what's called a Roth IRA. Now, with these different choices, they come with pros and cons, and I thought it'd be useful to discuss them. So with the 401k, one of the disadvantages of the 401k is a lot of times when it comes to taking distributions, you don't have a lot of flexibility as far as the tax withholding. Typically, there is a mandatory 20% federal income tax withholding. Sometimes they will allow you to withhold state, and you get to pick what the state tax withholding is or isn't. But that is certainly one of the disadvantages. If they don't allow you to pick what tax rate you are withholding as far as your distributions, that's a disadvantage. The other thing is when it comes to costs. So a lot of times on big 401ks, and by big, I mean for companies that have a lot of participants, and it's a big company sponsored 401k. So think like Fortune 500 companies. Typically, because the 401ks are so big, the costs are going to be very, very low. So that might be one of the benefits to sticking with and keeping your money in a 401k is the cost might be very, very low. And of course, you'll want to look at the entire cost because there'll be layers of costs within the 401k. It might be record keeping fees that that you're responsible for paying. It might be like annual maintenance fees or annual custodial fees for the 401k. It might be mutual fund expenses within the 401k. So it's good to kind of look at, okay, what is this costing me? What are the all-in costs of keeping my money in the 401k? Now, with that said, it's also probably good to compare an IRA or a Roth IRA and what the cost might be there. You might have annual IRA maintenance fees or custodial fees. There might be management fees. So looking at the overall costs of, okay, a comparison, an IRA or a Roth IRA out, if I did roll that money over, what are my costs going to be and how do they compare to my current 401k? The costs could be lower, they could be higher. It kind of depends what your 401k currently looks like and if you're happy with the investment selections that they offer. And that leads me to my next point is your investment selection in your 401k. I think it's worth looking at the menu of choices you have to invest your 401k dollars in. Now, there's some 401ks out there that we have reviewed at my firm that have more investment flexibility. It's almost like open architecture. Those are few and far between, I would say. Typically, when we're reviewing a 401k, they have a menu of choices, of mutual fund choices, and those choices may range from 10 to 30 to 40 choices that somebody can select from and try to put together a portfolio based on the choices that they have available. Now, the big advantage to an IRA or a Roth IRA is kind of you can invest it any way you want. The investment freedom that comes with an IRA or a Roth IRA is kind of almost limitless. So that's really the big benefit that I see. And so if your 401k really restricts how you can invest your money, you might find a lot of benefit or liberty in being able to invest dollars that you have, your life savings, in an IRA or a Roth IRA the way you want, the way that is going to really be in the best interest of you. That said, there are plenty of people that are happy with the choices that are available in their 401k. They might be comfortable with them, and those might work very, very well for some people. I have reviewed some 401ks where, number one, the costs are very, very low. Number two, the investment selection is made up of very high quality investments. And number three, the choices, the amount of choices that are offered are quite numerous. And so someone could really, really take those choices and put together a very, very top-notch, high-quality investment portfolio just within the 401k. There's other 401ks I've reviewed, and they might have 12 choices, 15 choices, and you have to try to do the best you can with the few choices that are offered. And maybe the costs are low, maybe they're high, but there's restrictions with the 401k. So you have to kind of determine what your 401k looks like. And again, this is your life savings. And with the dollars that you have invested, are those investments in that 401k portfolio going to be able to suit your needs now that you're retired? And with that being said, while you were working, typically our goals are different than when we're retired. And that's not always the case, but typically when we're working or we're saving in that 401k, maybe if we're lucky, we've got a match in there or profit sharing, and we're kind of looking for more growth. We're not touching the money yet. This is money that we're socking away every paycheck, hoping that we're getting growth from it, and that one day we'll retire and we'll be able to use those dollars to fund our retirement. So then we step into retirement. And for many people, they're kind of in the decumulation phase So they are starting to spend those dollars, and that might be spending their dividends or their interest or having some kind of investment strategy that's enabling them to take regular withdrawals, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe once a month, to really supplement their other sources of income like Social Security and pension. So our expectations for the portfolio, or the goals really for our investment portfolio, are different now that we're retired for a lot of people. And there's other people that say, no, I am still going for growth now that I'm retired. I've got other sources of income that will fund my lifestyle. And maybe those people don't need to make any changes to how their investments are positioned now that they're retired. So it really, really depends on, okay, is your investment strategy going to change now that you're retired? And if so, with that change, are there investment opportunities or options in your current 401k that will be able to accomplish what you're looking for? And if not, maybe you start to look outside at a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA and rolling over the funds if you decide to do so. But again, understanding there might be additional costs, and the cost might be higher by doing so. Now, one of the limitations to some 401ks, not all 401ks, but some 401k, they don't allow some individuals to do Roth conversions. So this is something that you need to be aware of. You need to check with your 401k provider to see if they allow Roth conversions. That's one benefit to rollover IRAs, is you will be able to do Roth conversions. There might be an extra cost or charge to do so, but you can do Roth conversions at any time. Whereas some 401k providers, they restrict your ability sometimes to do Roth conversions. So definitely something you need to check on. And then the other thing is, for those people that have loans on their 401ks, that's something that needs to be addressed when you retire. You need to contact your 401k provider to say, how are we going to deal with this loan on the 401k? And because typically it's a short amount of time that they give you to really, really pay back that loan and get things settled, or that becomes taxed as ordinary income. And there might be penalties that are applied as well. So that's kind of a warning for all the people that might have a 401k loan. So we've kind of got to weigh the different options. Does it make sense to cash out the 401k? That's option number one. There's likely going to be taxes. There might be penalties as well. Option number two, we leave it as is. Leave the 401k dollars how they are. Again, you can change, you can reallocate how the dollars are invested. You might say, okay, now I need to position the money differently and invest the money different within the 401k now that I'm retired, because now maybe I need to start taking withdrawals and start dipping into the 401k to live on in retirement. Then your third option is, if you choose to do this, you can roll it over to what's called a rollover IRA. And then if you had Roth 401k dollars, those would roll over separately to what's called a Roth IRA. If you already have a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA set up somewhere, well, you can roll over the 401k dollars, and those dollars can be deposited into an existing IRA or an existing Roth IRA. You have the ability to do that. So you kind of have to say, okay, what's going to be in my best interest? What are the costs? What are the investment opportunities, or what's the investment strategy that I want to have now that I'm retired? And is that going to change now that I'm retired? And what's my retirement income going to look like? So I hope this discussion has been helpful. Hopefully I've given you some things to think about. If you have questions, you can visit our website, RetireStrongFA.com. I'll see you on the next video. Hello, I'm Greg Gonzalez, founder of RetireStrong Financial Advisors. If you want to learn more about how we help people plan for a successful retirement, visit our website, RetireStrongFA.com.